Hello again. Welcome back to week 12 of year 5 of the Religious Education Initiative. This is day 3. We're continuing through the book of Acts. This is the second part of Stephen's speech. Is that right? Yeah. This is the second part of Stephen's speech. So last time we saw St. Stephen, begin to speak to the Sanhedrin, answering the accusation that he was preaching an end or a change to the things established by Moses and to the worship of God in the temple at Jerusalem. In his answer, he began not with Moses, but with Abraham, and proceeded to talk about Isaac and Jacob and Joseph's time in Egypt and the sojourn of the whole house of Israel in Egypt, where they were eventually enslaved until Moses was born and brought into the house of Pharaoh. We left off there last time. This time we will see Stephen continue with the life of Moses, which again, that was the accusation made concerning him. So he's given the context. Where does Moses come from? You've got to continue with the life of Moses and what the response of the Israelites at the time was to Moses' leadership. So this is verse 23 of chapter 7. When he was 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his relatives, the Israelites. When he saw one of them being wronged, he defended the oppressed man and avenged him by striking down the Egyptian. He supposed that his kinsfolk would understand that God, through him, was rescuing them, but they did not understand. The next day he came to some of them as they were quarreling and tried to reconcile them, saying, "Men, you are brothers. Why do you wrong each other?" But the man who was wronging his neighbor pushed Moses aside, saying, "Who made you a ruler and a judge over us? Do you want to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" When he heard this, Moses fled and became a resident alien in the land of Midian. There he became the father of 2 sons. Now, when 40 years had passed, an angel appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai, in the flame of a burning bush. When Moses saw it, he was amazed at the sight, and as he approached to look, there came the voice of the Lord, "I am the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Moses began to tremble and did not dare to look. Then the Lord said to him, "Take off the sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. I have surely seen the mistreatment of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their groaning, and I have come down to rescue them. Come now, I will send you to Egypt." It was this Moses whom they rejected when they said, "Who made you a ruler and a judge?" and whom God now sent as both ruler and liberator through the angel who appeared to him in the bush. He led them out, having performed wonders and signs in Egypt, at the Red Sea, and in the wilderness for 40 years. This is the Moses who said to the Israelites, "God will raise up a prophet for you from your own people, as he raised me up." Moses, he is the one who was in the congregation in the wilderness with the angel who spoke to him at Mount Sinai, and with our ancestors, and he received living oracles to give to us. Our ancestors were unwilling to obey him. Instead, they pushed him aside, and in their hearts they turned back to Egypt, saying to Aaron, "Make gods for us, who will lead the way for us. As for this Moses who led us out from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him." At that time they made a calf, offered as sacrifice to the idol, and reveled in the works of their hands. But God turned away from them and handed them over to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets, "Did you offer to me slain victims and sacrifices for 40 years in the wilderness, O house of Israel? No, you took along the tent of Moloch and the star of your god Rephan, the images that you made to worship. So I will remove you beyond Babylon." Okay, so what the heck is St. Stephen doing? They accused him of preaching that the ordinances of the Torah, the preaching of Moses, was being abolished by Christ and by the Christians. They accused him of saying that all of these things, the temple and the ordinances and the law were all being taken away. His response is to go back and remind them of where Moses came from, that he himself was receiving and entrusted to call the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to follow the God who had made those promises, who gave those ordinances to them, and he's reminding them that their forefathers rejected and disobeyed the call of God through Moses. Now, why is he going to be saying this? Well, as we'll see, because he's going to get to the end and say, effectively, Moses, well, he says it there. Moses prophesied that another prophet would be raised up. Who do you think he's talking about? He's talking about Jesus. He's saying Moses himself foretold the day when God would send someone else to fulfill and complete, and yes, in some sense, to abolish or change, or again, fulfill and complete, not abolish or change, but fulfill and complete the things that Moses gave to you. And he's saying, but your ancestors never listened to Moses, and you have now rejected and refused the call of that prophet that Moses foretold. You're just like your forefathers. You don't have to be, but you are being that way. So there is a refutation. He's saying, if I were preaching that everything is going to end, we shouldn't be surprised. Or everything is going to change, at least. We shouldn't be surprised because Moses told us someone else was going to come. But he kind of also goes to the point of saying, but let's be clear. You all were never any good at listening to Moses. It's not surprising you're rejecting the one that Moses foretold, God himself come as Jesus Christ, in the person of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the God-man. It's no surprise that you're rejecting him, because that's how you all have always been. They're not going to like that, but, that's what we see presented. So, anyway, that's it for today and for this week. So God bless you all. We'll see you next week.